Imagine, if you will, a future where aging is no longer inevitable, where intelligence can be downloaded, and where bodies are not born but built. Picture a world where the line between human and machine begins to blur, and the constraints of biology are seen not as destiny but as a challenge to be overcome. This is not the plot of a science fiction novel, it is the central vision of transhumanism, a revolutionary movement rooted in science, philosophy, and technology. Welcome to this learning module on transhumanism, created especially for the students who have curious minds who are eager to explore the edges of what it means to be human. Today, we are going to dwell deep into the philosophy and science behind transhumanism. We will look at where the movement came from, why it matters in today's world, who its most influential thinkers are, and how literature has served as a laboratory for imagining its future. This is not just a lesson, it is an invitation to step into tomorrow. Brief history of transhumanism. The desire to transcend human limitations is not new. Throughout history, thinkers have envisioned ways to extend life, increase intelligence, and escape the fatalities of the human condition. In the early 17th century, philosophers and scientists Francis Bacon advocated for the empirical conquest of nature. He believed that science and reason could ultimately cure disease, prolong life, and master the elements. These ideas planted early seeds of transhumanist ideal. Moving into the 19th century, Russian philosopher Nikolai Fyodorov introduced a bold notion that it was humanity's duty to achieve physical immortality through scientific resurrection. He saw death not as a natural part of life, but as a problem to be solved. His vision, though deeply spiritual, helped lay the foundation for a secular movement centered on radical human enhancement. The word transhumanism itself was first popularized in the 20th century by biologist Julian Huxley in 1957. Huxley imagined that humans could transcend themselves not just biologically but spiritually and intellectually through conscious evolution. Later, the concept matured through thinkers like FM 2030, who argued that the old definition of human was obsolete. His ideas challenged assumptions about identity, progress, and what it means to be alive. In the 1990s, Max More formally shaped the movement into what we recognize today by founding the Extropy Institute. More provided a philosophical backbone to transhumanism. Emphasized continuous improvement, rational optimism, and the moral imperative to enhance human capacities. Since then, transhumanism has gained traction across disciplines. As technology has accelerated, so too has the plausibility of its dreams, making it more relevant than ever before. So, why study transhumanism today? You might wonder, why should a postgraduate student and thinkers of all disciplines engage with transhumanism? The answer is simple. Because we are living in a world it has long imagined. Transhumanism is no longer a distant vision, it's becoming a lived reality. Let's begin with a technological relevance. Every week we see headlines about breakthroughs in gene editing, brain computer interfaces, and artificial intelligence. Tools like CRISPR allow us to rewrite DNA with unprecedented precision. Neural implants developed by companies like Neuralink are already being tested in humans. AI systems are transforming how we think, work, and even create. Each of these advances raises profound ethical, philosophical, and societal questions. Questions that transhumanism is uniquely poised to explore. Next, consider the expanding career landscape. Fields such as bioethics, tech policy, futurism, and neurophilosophy are actively seeking individuals who can think critically about humanity's future. A deep understanding of transhumanist ideas can give students an edge in shaping tomorrow's debates, from AI governance to biotechnology regulation. Finally, at its core, transhumanism forces us to confront timeless essential questions. What does it mean to be a human? Where do we draw the line between human and machine? Can consciousness be transferred or even copied? These are not just theoretical musings, they are the urgent inquiries in a world where technological power is going faster than our ethical framework. So, studying transhumanism equips you with the intellectual tools to engage in these debates, not just as an observer, but as a shaper of future. Key thinkers and their works. Let's now turn into the individuals who have shaped the transhumanist movement into what it is today. First, we meet Max Moore, a philosopher and futurist who coined the term extropianism, a philosophy dedicated to perpetual progress and self transformation. In his influential essay, The Philosophy of Transhumanism, Moore outlines the moral and intellectual case for using technology to overcome biological limitations. He argues that death is not evitable, that suffering can be minimalized, and the intelligence should be expanded. Moore emphasizes values like rational thinking, individual freedom, and the provocative shaping of human destiny. Then there is Zolt Iswan, a political activist and author who brought transhumanism into the public sphere. His provocative novel, The Transhumanist Wager, tells the story of Jethro Knights, a man determined to defend death and reshape society through science. The book is a manifest for radical life extension, individual liberty, and technological revolution. Istvan even ran for US president under the banner of Transhumanist Party, pushing ideas like universal access to enhancement technologies and government investments in immortality research. Other influential figures include Natasha Whitmore, who blends aesthetics and ethics in her work. In the Transhumanist Reader, she explores how design, art, and technology can converge to evolve the human condition. And of course, there is Ray Kurzweil, whose book The Singularity is Near predicts a future where artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence, leading to unimaginable challenges in consciousness and civilization. These thinkers don't always agree, but together they represent the diverse spectrum of thought that makes transhumanism such a compelling and dynamic field. Key objectives. Transhumanist literature is not just about the future, it is a lens through which we examine our present. It functions as both a speculative playground and a philosophical background where writers dare to imagine what we might become and what we might lose along the way. First, it strives to imagine post human futures, worlds where death is optional, minds can be uploaded, and the human body is just the beginning. In the transhumanist wager, Zolf is one dares us to dream of immortality no matter the cost. Second, it asks us to critique or justify enhancement. Does technology free us or strip us of our humanity? Huxley's Brave New World paints a chilling portrait of a society engineered into submission. Third, these stories redefine what it means to be human. In Neuromancer, William Gibson shows us that identity may no longer be rooted in flesh but in code and consciousness. Transhumanist literature also brings us face to face with ethical dilemmas. from playing God to the inequality of enhancement excess. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was among the first to ask, just because we can, should we? Fifth, it dares to inspire innovation. Works like Greg Egan's Diaspora don't just speculate, they push the boundary of science fiction until it feels like prophecy imagining fully digitally minds. But it also knows how to laugh. By satirizing transhumanist extremes, books like Super Sad, True Love Story expose our blind faith in tech and the absurdities of a future obsessed with eternal youth. At times, it serves as an advocate, like Ray Kurzweil's The Singularity is Near, which blurs the line between manifesto and machine age prophecy. And finally, it offers a warning. Foreseeing societal disruption in Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson, he envisions a fractured reality where corporation rule and the human experience is fully meditated by machines. In all these, transhumanist literature pushes us to think critically, dream radically, and question deeply because the future isn't just imagined, it is written. Let's dive into a literary analysis of two transhumanist work. Literature often serves as a testing ground for philosophical ideas, and transhumanism is no exemption. Let's take a closer look at the two key texts that explore the hopes and dangers of human enhancement. Let us now take a deeper dive into one specific work that unapologetically champions the ideals, that exposes the ethical dilemmas of transhumanism. The Transhumanist Wager by Zsolt Iswan. Published in 2013, this novel has become something of a manifesto for the modern transhumanist movement. It doesn't merely reference enhancement technologies in passing, it centers them as the primary engine of both personal liberation and societal revolution. At its core is the character of Jethro Knights, a fiercely intelligent, radically individualistic philosopher who is wholly devoted to the pursuit of technological immortality. For Knights, aging, illness, and even death itself are not fixed certainties, but technical problems awaiting solutions. He believes that science, if freed from political and religious constraint, can eliminate suffering and extend life indefinitely. This alone places the novel squarely in the domain of transhumanist fiction, but it goes further. Transhumanism here is not background, it is the battleground. Knight's journey is one of the ideological warfare. He fights against the inertia of society, the constraints of morality, and the institutions that resist disruptive innovation. The novel poses one provocative question repeatedly: how far would you go to live forever? For Jethro, the answer is clear. He would risk his career, his relationship, and even global peace. His willingness to establish an independent island state devoted entirely to scientific progress, free from governmental and theological interference, illustrates the extreme consequences of an unyielding commitment to the transhumanist ideal. At the thematic level, the transhumanist wager examines three core pillars of transhumanism: radical life extension, individual autonomy, and technological utopianism. But it doesn't shy away from showing the price of such dreams. While Jethro is portrayed as a hero to some, others see in him a symbol of techno authoritarianism. His rigid worldview and the ethical compromises he is willing to make prompt important questions. Does the end justify the means? Can humanism survive in a world dominated by extreme enhancement? Critically, the novel functions not only as a call to arms but also as a moral stress test. It challenges readers to consider the implications of their own beliefs. Is death something we should accept or something we should conquer? And if we do conquer it, who gets access to that technology? Will it be a public good or the privilege of the elite? Moreover, the transhumanist wager doesn't just address technology, it grapples with its social and spiritual implications. In confronting religion, nationalism, and collectivism, the novel argues that these institutions may be incompatible with rapid technological evolution. It is an argument that is as provocative as it is polarizing. While some critics have noted that the novel leans too heavily into ideological absolutism, painting opponents of transhumanism with broad, sometimes simplistic strokes, this in itself reveals a core tension in the movement. The potential for dehumanization in the name of progress. By removing emotional and spiritual dimensions from human life, do we risk becoming the very machines we create? In this way, Istvan's novel does what the best science fiction often does. It forces us to look into the mirror of the future and ask whether we like what we see. Ultimately, the transhumanist wager is not just a narrative, it is a provocation. It dramatizes the philosophical stakes of transhumanism with unwavering intensity. And whether one argues with Jethro Knights or finds his vision chilling, the novel succeeds in sparkling debate. It shows us that transhumanism is not just about enhancing the body, it is about redefining values, rethinking governance, and renegotiating what it means to live a meaningful life. In that sense, its value goes beyond fiction. It is a tool for contemplation, a challenge, a wager. Because the future will not simply unfold, it will be chosen. And literature like the transhumanist wage urges us to choose wisely. Conclusion and future scope. Transhumanism is more about the gadgets or implants. It is about redefinition of what it means to be human. It asks, can we take control of our evolution? Should we? And if we do, what values must guide us? As students and future leaders, you will witness technologies that were once confined to science fiction, mind uploading, brain machine integration, AI with emotional intelligence. These developments carry immense potential but also unprecedented risk. Will we create a more equitable world where enhancement is a right for all, or a future where only the wealthy live longer and smarter lives? Ultimately, transhumanism doesn't offer easy answers, but it demands that we ask the right questions. It invites us to participate in the shaping of humanity's next chapter, not as passive recipients of progress, but as thoughtful stewards of the future. Thank you for joining this exploration of transhumanism. Keep questioning, keep imagining, and remember the future is not something we enter, it is something we create.